Are you ready to set your authentic self free? Welcome to Your Unapologetic Life, the podcast with me, Morgan Barkus. This podcast is full of my personal stories, advice, and strategies, as well as book recommendations to help you ditch comparison and society's standards for us women so you can finally reveal who you truly are. Are you ready to live out loud? Let's get this party started. What do you regret? I didn't think I had any regrets, and then I read the book, The Midnight Library. A girlfriend of mine recommended it, and it is a book, a fictional book, and I treated it like it was a personal development book. Not only did I listen to it on audiobook, I think twice now, I also read the physical copy, and I was highlighting in it, and then I would have things I wanted to process and I would write in my journal about this book. It just hit me so hard. And I highly, highly recommend The Midnight Library. When you think about regrets, it's it's sort of I don't know, trendy, if you will, to say, "Oh, I have no regrets or regret nothing." That's not necessarily the case. I don't want to give away the entire book. I am going to give some spoilers here that I don't think will affect how the book hits you because you have your own story and your book of regrets will be your own book of regrets and that you can think about and process and work out for yourself. The premise of the book is basically a woman who is very unhappy with her life. She attempts suicide and ends up in a place of limbo, if you will. And she ends up being faced, basically this person puts this book of regrets in her hands and says, "Open it up. Look at it." And it's heavy and it's hard to read, and it is something that really hit me because, again, I was always thinking, I have no regrets. Everything I've done has led to one thing or another, and it's been a lesson learned, and this, that, and the other, and which is true. And when I read the book, I did, like I said, several journal entries as I was reading the book and after I read the book. And I realized, it could be, regret, it doesn't have to be this big thing, this like sliding door moment in your life that you did or didn't take. It was the book of regrets was everything from why didn't I work out this morning? I shouldn't have eaten, I don't know, two of the donuts. I should have just had the one. To I shouldn't have, ended my engagement. Maybe I should have married that guy and and it was just interesting that this woman, she didn't pay obviously a lot of attention to the little silly regrets like I shouldn't have driven that way home today because I got stuck behind a tractor. It was more the things that she felt like she should have done that were monumental moments in her life. And then when she was able to play them out, it turns out that those situations weren't meant to happen because she regretted it because she thought her life was going to be a certain way. But then when it played out, it turns out she made the right choice. And again, I went deep into my journaling and I went through all these sliding door moments in my life, one of which was after college. I was thinking I'm going to move to Ibiza, Spain. I can get a serving job or a bartending job. I had worked in my auntie's restaurant through part of my college years, and I thought I could wait tables or I could learn how to bartend. And why not do it in Spain, the capital of EDM music? That was my whole reason for wanting to go to Ibiza, Spain. And basically, my parents said, no, you're not. We just put you through college. You're going to get a job. And ironically, I just moved to Minneapolis, Minnesota and got a waitressing job. I mean, I could have been doing that in Spain and it didn't work out that way. And there you go. And so that was one of the things on my list. And it was, I mean, there were so many things. I started law school and I wasted $6,000 doing a semester of law school and realizing it wasn't for me. And now I have that part of that as my student loan debt. Or, I mean, I could have moved. I mean, I wanted to go to college in LA originally, and I didn't. I ended up going into Minnesota and finishing my degree there and staying and getting my graduate degree. And I mean, there were just so many things that I listed, and it wasn't necessarily I listed everything that I felt like I regretted. I just wrote down everything where it could have gone one way or the other. And there was a time when I used to teach exotic dance and fitness at this studio, and the owner presented to me, "Hey, I have to move out of state. This place is probably going to fold. And do you want to buy it?" And at that time, she was only going to sell it to me for $9,000. That's nine with three zeros. That's it. And at that time, it was $900,000 to me. I was broke. I was in graduate school. I was working, two part-time jobs and a full-time job. And I was like, no, I can't. Plus, I didn't want to be stuck in Minnesota owning a physical location. And I regretted that decision for so long. And after I read that book, I realized no, because if I would have done that, yeah, my life would have been different for better or worse. I don't know. And I made every choice I made and it led me to where I am now. So why would I regret that? And what I also thought was interesting is, by the end of the book, it's the things that we don't necessarily find joy in that we wonder if we should have done. And really, when it comes down to it, the only thing we really want is to love and be loved. And I thought that is truly the only thing I want. And everything else you figure out. And there's, again, these sliding door moments. And you have to be able to understand yourself enough and be able to assess the situation and take a chance or not, and trust that that is the right decision. And it just was one of the most impactful books I have ever read. I ended a long term intimate relationship because of that book, because I thought one of us is going to have to give up our dream. The life that he wants is not the life I want. And if I follow him, then I'm giving up my life. And if he follows me, he's giving up what he wants. We're not a match. I've got to walk away from this. And so that was the book hit me in that kind of way and made me assess the current situation I was in. It also really helped me realize that and appreciate the choices I had made to get me where I was and what I was going to do with that next. And one of the things that stuck with me is, yes, I didn't move to Spain after college. And I have always had a deep, deep desire to travel and to adventure. And I oftentimes ask people if they could have any superpower, what would it be? And the superpower I would want is to be able to speak any language around the world fluently, just instantly. I could go to the smallest village in a country in Africa. I could go to Vietnam. I could go to Paris. I could go to Milan, Italy, and just fluently know the language. And not just the language itself, but like the dialect of that area so that I can freely converse with all the local people and just listen to them talk and tell me stories and show me around and just be able to be fully immersed in that place with those people. And so that's something that when I was looking through and like I said, processing, writing in my journal about the things that I didn't do in my life, what was cool about the book too was that your life isn't over. Like maybe you didn't make that choice 7 years ago or 27 years ago, and if it's still on your heart, why can't you chase that now? It will look different than it did 27 years ago. I'm not a 23-year-old girl that is going to maybe go bartend in Ibiza and dance her buns away um, at an EDM concert. Now I'm like, don't push me or spill your drink on my shoes or I might throat punch you. So, I'm probably not going to be in that scene. And do I still want to go to Ibiza, Spain? You best believe. And I'm going to get a private box and I'm going to dance and dance where nobody's shoving me or, trying to touch me high on whatever they're on. That's one thing about raves. I only went to a couple raves in my 20s, and I love electronic dance music, house music. And people would ask me, they're like, what are you on? And I'm just dancing away. And I'm like, the music. And they're like, no, what are you on? I'm like, I don't know what you mean. What do you mean? What am I on? I'm on the music. And because most people were on other influences while at a rave. Not me. I just wanted to dance. And I still want to go do that. It's going to look different in my 40s than when I was in my 20s. And it's still on my heart. And so reading that book made me realize I don't regret it. And if it's still on my heart, that means it's still a desire of mine. And it's something that I'm not dead. So why not go chase that thing and chase it in the way that's appropriate for me now? And it just I highly, highly recommend The Midnight Library, one of the best books I have ever read in my life. If you think you're reading a fictional story, you're going to be blown away by how impactful it is in a personal development way. So it's entertaining. You can't put it down. You want to follow the storyline, and it truly makes you feel so many things and reflect on so many things. I recommend you dashing off to a bookstore near you, or if you're like most of us, you're going to hit up Amazon.com and get that baby delivered to your house tomorrow. Get on it. The Midnight Library. I want to hear everything and anything about what you took away from it after you get done reading it. Enjoy. Thanks again for being here. Are you open to doing me a favor? Please hit that plus sign to follow this podcast, rate and review, and then share this podcast with at least one woman in your life that you care about.